Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I am the Saffron Man, he is Sporadiclese, and we are RedVsRed. We've literally just watched the Ipswich match versus Manchester United. We're going to give you the full reaction. But first of all, I just kind of want to start with Sporadiclese. You know, obviously I took over your spot for Friday's video. I did a cheeky little video. And I had to come up with a formation in the team. I come up with a couple. I put Mazraoui in the back three, which he was in the back three. I put Garnacho and Rashford in the same team, so I put Rashford up top. I think the only thing I didn't get right was Eriksen in the midfield, where I had Mainu instead. And obviously the scoreline, which I predicted 4-1, which we obviously didn't get. But I was really excited of that prospect. But there were so many questions going into this game, Sporadiclese, in terms of how, who's going to play and where, what roles are going to play. And the fact that we kind of even got close is kind of miraculous. It was actually a pretty decent lineup out there today.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would have personally picked Ugarte over Casemiro were I doing the match prediction. I mean, aside from that, I mean, I think you kind of got it spot on. We were missing a lot of key players on on the defense in Lisandro Martinez. I don't know if we necessarily count Maguire as a key player, but he was also unavailable for the match, if I'm not mistaken. So Lenny Yoro, he's back in training, but unfortunately was not match fit. So, but it was nice to see a couple of bench players. One that came off the bench being Luke Shaw, the other one being Tyrell Malacia, who for the first time in, 19 months or something to that effect, actually got to suit up for a match day squad. So love to see that. But, I mean, overall, I'm really not too miffed about the lineup. I think this was a pretty solid lineup that he selected for his first match.
I think it was a gamble, even though I kind of predicted it. It was a gamble to try and put Garnacho and Rashford in the same squad at the same time. It doesn't usually happen, and when it does happen, it doesn't usually work out because they kind of take up each other's space. But because of the new formation, Garnacho's just that little bit deeper and a little bit more narrow, so he's got space to move out wide if he needs to, because Rashford is pretty much down the middle the whole time. So it's smart. The fact that Bruno is in there as well, is just kind of pulling on the strings. I didn't think we saw the best out of Bruno today. I thought we saw a lot less touches from Bruno today. So Bruno was like, he would receive the ball, but he would give it in 1 or 2 touches. Like, he wasn't carrying the ball, he wasn't standing in position, waiting for other runners around him. He was kind of getting rid of it really quickly, and the passing in between the players was really quick today. Probably too quick for their own good at times, but it started off amazingly well. I mean, within 60 seconds, there's a bit of a downer because I've been so hyped up this week, and in the kickoff I was like, okay, let's actually come back to reality and watch the match. And then he scores, and then I'm like, oh my god, this it's not fake news. It's like it was like delirium for like 60 seconds. So I mean, how did you feel when that went in from Rashford? Good goal, great run from Diallo.
Oh yeah, and I mean Diallo really just made that whole thing happen, right? A good little link-up play between he and Mazraoui there to kind of get that play started, and then just the amazing solo effort from Amad Diallo to, I mean that was not easy. He had 2 guys to beat, and shrugged off the first one, and just got that last little touch right before the sliding tackle on the second. And so that kind of freed him up to make that run. And so obviously, that's what we expect from Amad at this point. That's what we want to see from him. It's what he's best at, and it's what we've been missing in a lot of a lot of times in our games, is somebody that's just willing to take on that last little defensive unit, or take on a player to kind of help create some of that space in the offensive third that we just have been missing for so long.
I'm just literally passing my mind back to how much money we spent for the right wing position, whilst we've sent this lad out on loan to Rangers and Sunderland and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
But we all knew, though. We all knew. Anyway, that's mismanagement, like days gone by. But now he seems like taking his chance. We've all seen that training video with Amorim, and he was given a good communication. He liked what he saw in that training video, and we've all liked what we've seen from Amorim, but he just hasn't produced enough goals or created enough chances. But mate, as soon as he picked up that ball from the halfway line, even though there were numerous people around him, we've talked about his pace and his kind of stride structure before, where he takes like half a step less than everyone else, but he moves twice as far. It's just his agility. I mean, that last guy came in with a slide tackle, and Ahmad was already 2-3 feet wider than he's just such quick agility, and as soon as he had that time and space, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about having that short gait is that you're able to get up to your top speed, but still keep the ball closer to you, right? And that's exactly what he was doing. The touch was close, even though he was going as fast as he was. And so that's kind of what led that last defender to believe, oh, I can make this tackle, but the ball is stuck to his foot. And so once the defender was going to ground, he just takes that last touch. He's around you, and you're not catching him.
And Rashford had to be there. Obviously, Ahmad saw the run and he made the judgment, and that flight of the ball was perfect. Just in front of the keeper. Rashford didn't have to change direction. He didn't have to change pace. He just carried on going in the same trajectory, and he met it, and he got. And where's that been from Højlund? Like, Højlund's been in those positions, and Rashford took it well, but I don't know, it just seems like a straightforward striker's goal. When the ball is coming out from out wide, you want to run forward into the danger zone. We just haven't really had that from anyone for ages.
So I think there's a difference between Marcus Rashford and Rasmus Højlund in those types of situations where Rasmus Højlund is constantly at the very height of that line that he can be across, right? And so Rashford, being a more natural winger, he's sitting back a little bit deeper. You saw how the run was tracking even from the very start. He gave that center back a little bit more time to get a little bit deeper. And he also, that center back also had to go out and chase Amad Diallo too a little bit to try and prevent that. But Rashford held his run, and so he had, a yard or two that he was kind of behind at the start. But then he comes in and, right at the perfect time, he turns on the jets, and it's a matter of arriving there whenever the ball comes in, or at the same time as the ball, as opposed to already being there and the ball coming in and then having to kind of create an awkward angle with your body to be able to take that shot on. And so that, I think, really was the difference between Rashford and what he did there and what Rasmus Højlund probably would have done there.
Yeah, I agree. Just different strikes for different folks, and they are two completely different players. And you're right, Højlund is pressing the high line a bit more, and when that switched around, we can get to later on, it didn't kind of. We're not doing great offensively at the moment, and I wish the game kind of ended after those 60 seconds, because after that, it was pretty much Ipswich's game. Now we're at home, the crowd were with them. They had the majority of chances and clear chances. They made the goalkeeper work harder. I don't remember us making their goalkeeper work particularly hard on any, maybe one or two, but I remember 3 or 4, I'll be honest, pretty high quality saves from Onana, and not only kept us in the game, but we're probably deserving of that point from his performances. But, after that goal from us, it's not like we sat back. It was almost like we had this reverberant energy. Like, yes, cool, we understand but then it's like reality kind of kicked in after like 15 minutes. Like, oh, right, the buzz is gone now. What do we have to do? Oh, we have to work hard. And then it just seemed like everything was a lot more effort, mentally, physically, for the players. Whilst Ipswich were going up in gears, they know their formation, they know their style of play. They were just levels more ready. But it was a hard watch at times in that second half, especially.
Yeah, and I mean the first half in particular, after the goal, we had almost nothing. It was very difficult to kind of create anything, and I would argue that we did actually sit back a little bit more than I was hoping to see. It looked like the press wasn't there as much as I would have liked to have seen, which is why we saw that goal come from Ipswich. Casemiro looked a little bit a little bit lazy on tracking his on tracking. I believe it was Hutchinson cutting in, and Johnny Evans did not come out and press whenever he saw that Casemiro was beaten. And so little things like that, it's about providing cover. It's about understanding your teammates and what their mannerisms are. We know Casemiro's not quite as quick on the draw as he used to be, and so we really needed Johnny Evans to come out more to shut that down a little bit quicker, in my opinion at least. That didn't happen. And there were also any number of moments where we tried to press, but we pressed as 4, maybe 5. And so we were easily played in between the lines, and they were getting the ball into our midfield and being able to transition into offense relatively easily, as opposed to Ipswich, who was constantly pressing us with 7, 8 players. And so we're just knocking the ball around the back end of, in our defensive third, or maybe starting to get into the middle of the field. But really, there was just so many balls that were being played laterally and backwards, and it looked like Amorim was getting a little frustrated, because this is something that we've definitely seen so much of from the Eric Ten Hag era, of just not playing the ball forward quick enough, not getting the ball into attacking spaces quickly enough, or just turning. It's something as simple as just opening up your body as you're receiving the ball to kind of create the opportunity to go forward in the first place. And a lot of our players are just not looking for that, especially in midfield. And I think that's somewhere that we're missing the likes of Kobe Mainu, because that's what he does. He opens up his body, he prepares himself to run forward, he prepares himself to pass the ball forward, and we just don't have anybody quite like that in our midfield right now.
I think you're absolutely right. In this setup, from what we've seen today, we're missing that midfielder that can do what Kobe does. And that's going to be really interesting, because when you've got Kobe running forward, progressing with the ball, and you've got Garnacho, Bruno, and Marcus in front of you with the wing backs looking to bomb on, that's a really exciting kind of predicament. I would love to see Kobe Mainu in, to have options in front of him, because that's what he does. We've seen in the FA Cup final, or even the bigger games against Liverpool, he'll find that extra yard of space in between midfielders or in between defenders, and he'll exploit that. And as soon as he gets past that 1 or 2 hurdles, he's got a world in front of him to create, and that's really exciting. But before we kind of move on to Rashford, move off of Rashford real quick, is he our number 9? Is he our main striker now? Is Højlund? Is Marcus? We've all been saying that Højlund needs someone to learn off, to be the second striker. He's not ready to be the main striker yet, but he needs to graft as a second. Is Marcus that guy that he learns off then?
I mean, at this point, I'm not convinced. That's not to say that it's completely and totally false. That it's not the case that Højlund can't learn anything from Marcus Rashford. I think that there are things that Marcus Rashford does that Højlund could pick up on, such as leaving that last little half yard or yard of space to be able to run onto the ball instead of having to adjust. It's good to press, to be up higher on that line whenever you're still trying to get into the final third, but whenever you're in the final third, it's easier to run forward onto the ball than it is to run backwards or to strike the ball from, basically a lateral pass. And so, it's little things like movement and body positioning and things like that I think Højlund can definitely pick up on from Marcus Rashford. But I don't think that the true striker play is there from Marcus, and we saw that kind of throughout the match. Is that after that opportunity, he really just kind of fell off. You didn't see a whole lot from him. He was trying to get into those wide spaces like that he would normally take up and receive the ball there, as opposed to being an outlet. And so we were having to have other players kind of get into that space too, up front, to kind of be able to receive the ball and provide that outlet. So it's at this point, I'm convinced that it's just time and learning the system that Amorim wants to be able to put into place, to get some of these younger players accommodated into that system and acclimated to that system for it to really work out. I mean, this was not obviously I wouldn't put the result on Amarim. I think we all wanted the 3 points today. I think we should have come into this game looking for 3 points, and it looked like we scored and then did what we normally did under Ten Hag, which is take the foot off the gas, sit back a little bit deeper, don't press as high. And so it's just frustrating to watch, and I think that's going to take a lot of unlearning on the part of the players.
Yeah, I do think that Rashford is going to have to be that guy for Højlund, though. I mean, only because there's no other choice. And we've talked about Marcus Rashford leaving, before now. And I think I came to the conclusion that this is Rashford's last chance with a new manager. And if it doesn't work out between now and the summer, I think he'll be sold in the summer. Otherwise, if he doesn't fit into this system and he doesn't work, if he doesn't turn from a square peg into a round peg, then I think we're going to try and get the most out of him. But if he's going to be used as an out-and-out 9 in this system, he has to adapt and to change. Every player is having to adapt to this system, right? Whether it be Garnacho playing in the wide 10 role, whether it be the wing-backs and Diallo, everyone's having to adjust. Rashford is going to have to make this adjustment. He's not a wing player anymore. It's kind of like the Kylian Mbappe solution. Like, he's gone to Real Madrid as a winger or a wing attacker, and now they need him to play up front, and he doesn't even really want to, so he's kind of putting up a sort. Rashford doesn't really have that option. Like, if Amarim is putting him up front, he's now a striker. He's now competing against Haaland and the rest of it. That's the measuring stick that in the Premier League. So if he's going to be that guy for us, he's 27, he's got all the potential in the world to make that happen. He doesn't have the time on his side to go back to a left winger when we're not using left wingers. So I think he's our striker now. And if it doesn't work out, then he's going to be sold by the end of summer. But I think when strikers are probably in short supply in world football, especially for a decent price, the fact that I think it's a good decision for us to make Rashford into that striker, but I don't think he's going to be happy. What do you think? You let me know.
I mean, I think that he's not exactly flourished as an out-and-out striker. He's been utilized in that position, multiple times, and his performances are lackluster whenever he is there. He definitely prefers that left-hand side. So does Garnacho.
Which we don't have anymore.
True, but I mean that kind of left attacking mid is similar because he can still make his moves out wide and kind of assist, but he's not going to be naturally just out on that on the touchline waiting to receive the ball and cut inside. So he is going to have to adjust in some way, shape, or form, because the one thing that you're not going to do is make him your left wing back. Right, that's just not going to happen. He does not track back. If we ever see him at left wing back, I'm going to be very upset with our manager because he just does not have that in him. And so, I mean, those are really the two positions: is that kind of left attacking midfielder as well as striker. And unfortunately, I don't think he's really going to be. I don't think he's going to be that great in either one of them. So it's going to be an adjustment for him for sure, and he's going to have to figure out what he's going to do with that, because those are really the only spots that he can line up in this formation.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're close to seeing the final evolution of Marcus Rashford, whatever it may be, whether it be a change of position or a change of mindset or a change of club come the end of the season. We will find out. I kind of want to take you back to the squad real quick, and just in your opinion, Sporadiclese, who stood out for you defensively today? Obviously, there wasn't a lot of attacking going on, but there was a lot of defensive options going around today. Obviously, Johnny Evans has been pushed to wide centre-back instead of the centre, and De Ligt was in there. Mazraoui being... who kind of stood out for you defensively?
I mean, for me, and I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but it was Mazraoui. I think that, there were good moments from a lot of our defenders. There were a couple of bad moments, but Overall, I feel like he had to kind of carry the lion's share of the work in terms of a lot of the positive moves that we were making. It seemed like he really, he wasn't often caught out of position. He also had a lot of help from Amad Diallo today, in my opinion. I think that Diallo and Evans, that side really did look the weaker side for most of the game. And so it wasn't surprising to me whenever we saw a goal come from there. Now, Casemiro, I think that it was kind of Casemiro and Evans that were kind of the culprits of that, as opposed to Dallo, which is good in my opinion, because Dallo's had a really really tough year so far. So to kind of see what we normally expect, right, from Casemiro, and not being able to quite keep up that pace. That's kind of, again, to be expected. But Mazraoui kind of locked down that side. I thought that he just had a solid performance, and it's one of those things where I think that no news is good news, and there really wasn't a whole lot of news coming out of that side of the pitch on our defense. I think there was one time though where they did get an opportunity that Mazraoui probably could have shut down. I think it was Delap getting the ball across, and Onana had to come up with that really big save. But again, you also had 3 other United defenders that were back there that couldn't guard the one guy that got into position. So again, it's Mazraoui, having a one-on-one, doing the job of keeping Delap out wide and having to play the ball rather than take a shot, and then 3 other people letting him down.
Yeah, I think we've all been praising Mazraoui, and he was really unfortunate to score. It's not quite an own goal, but it basically was. It's not going to be classed as an own goal, but it was his own fault, really, because look, when that happens, if the ball hits you and you have no momentum towards it, it's just going to go up and change and curl, and it's going to have topspin, and it's just anyway. If you have to have some kind of forward momentum behind it, right? Like you have to go forward to try and trajectory, and then it will go up. It will go high and wide. So the ball just kind of hit him, and all he does, it goes up. His trajectory was up. It wasn't forward. It wasn't backward to cushion. He just went up, and that's just something you don't do as a defender. So I'm hoping that kind of grounds it back to reality, because he has been absolutely amazing. And I didn't want to get too big for his boots or anything and get an ego or something like that. But he has been absolutely amazing. But the defender that kind of stood out for me though today was fucking Axel Tuanzebe. Like, I know he plays for Ipswich, but Garnacho had a horrid day in offensive, and that was all down to Tuanzebe. Tuanzebe matched him for pace at times. He's obviously bigger and stronger. I know that he's had some injury trouble, but we all knew when he played for us that we all wanted him to have more minutes. And I just want to say fair play to Axel, and he's obviously gone through the tough times. He's playing with a lower end club with Ipswich, but as we've seen today, that they're a good, strong unit. And he's getting some minutes under his belt, and I think he's got a big move ahead in the future one day. I think as if he could sort out his injury and just stay injury free, I think he's got a big move. But yeah, he really impressed me today. Garnacho must be glad to see the back of him, honestly.
Yeah, definitely caused problems for him.
For sure. Okay, so the other one, speaking for sure, the other person I want to talk about now is obviously Luke Shaw. We've had a left-back issue for God knows how long, and how coincidental is it that Amrim's first game in charge, and all of a sudden, Luke Shaw and Tara Malacia are just... Now, we've obviously heard they've been back in training. I think there was a rumour a little while ago that Luke Shaw had a further setback. Yes, he only got like half an hour, but man, that half an hour was needed. He was like... I don't know, every time he touched the ball in the first few seconds, it was like, yay, like the crowd was just sarcastically cheering him because they haven't seen him for like 18 months. But it was good to see him back. When we saw him play for England, his calves and his legs looked like tree trunks. Like, he looked rather big and looked like rushed back to fitness. But he actually looks good, in good shape. He looks looked mobile. His legs looked pretty slim. Like, he didn't look like he was carrying too much weight. It was just great to see him back in the United shirt for however long it lasts, you know?
Yeah, and hopefully this is the first of many games that he is available for United for once instead of just for the England squad. I would love to see him in that left wing back role once some of our our center backs are fit again. And I think that's kind of a more natural position for him, that left wing back. He's great on offense and he's good on defense, and so he's definitely got the pace to get up, and back, and so it really just does become a matter of fitness and keeping him off of the out of the the injury list. So, man, I really am hopeful that we don't have any more setbacks with him, because that's the one thing that's keeping us from having a top 3 in the world left back at the moment, in my opinion. I think he is that good whenever he's fit. Obviously, he's got tons of issues with that. We're talking about bringing in Alphonso Davies, I think I've seen. I don't know whether or not that's going to happen or if he's even going to be interested in that.
Well, the thing with Alphonso Davies is his contract is up at the end of the summer, and Real Madrid want him for free, and we'll be like, well, we can offer you some money. And so that's the deal right now. And so we're would they rather have money or not? So yeah, I think that's where it is right now. But so we'll see.
Yeah, but promising 30 minutes from Luke Shaw. Again, just hoping that he stays fit, and he'll be an absolute unit for us as long as he can do that.
And just like you said, as soon as we get some more centre-backs in, like Euro's available, Mazraoui doesn't have to play there. Mazraoui can take over from Delo and be the right wing-back. Luke Shaw, this formation just seems perfect for Luke Shaw, because, if you give him the left wing role, the left back role 5 years ago, that's a lot of effort to kind of go back and forth. But he had the energy to do so. 5 years on, with all the injuries, when you're at the left wing back, it's not as bad. You're pretty much central and forward rather than going back all the time. And so having a Luke Shaw fit, experienced, because that's what he is now. He's experienced Luke Shaw, and hungry, because that's what he should be with all this time out, going forward, attacking and whipping balls in, that excites me. That really kind of gets the juices going, and I'm like, yes. But then reality kind of kicks in. It's like, hang on, yeah, but he has had all these injuries. That Luke Shaw was 5 years ago. We don't even know if he can handle this system. But it does seem made fit to purpose for him, because he can play the left centre-back role as well. So hopefully he's got 1 or 2 years in this left wing-back position where he can bomb on and use that energy, and when he hits like 32, 33, he can then go back to the left centre-back role and still keep whatever pace he's got left for that, like the Kyle Walker kind of position. But are we really going to get that, though? We all want it to happen. But Luke Shaw, left wing-back, could offer us so much balance, a balance we haven't had in donkeys long. And to have someone like Diallo on the right and Luke Shaw on the left, that's just yummy, right? That's a really good thing. I think that'd be cool.
Oh yeah.
All right, so, but it didn't work out that way. Let's talk about some of those saves from Onana. I've been one of the most critical. He was on point today. Like, even when some passes were short to him, his distribution was calm. Yeah, my gut wasn't turning inside out every time he got the ball at his feet. And some of those saves were truly, Schmeichel-esque. Like, strong arms here, strong feet there. Like, he really kind of... He was unfortunate for the one that went in, obviously, because it was a deflection off of Mazraoui, which we talked about already. But, man, like... I don't know. You tell me, how did you... It was just a really strong performance, a real strong character today.
Yeah, this could have been a really happy day for Ed Sheeran, but Onana was a bit of a spoiler in that regard. It could have easily been 3 or 4-1 based on all of the saves that he had to make, and came up really big. And so, if that's the Onana that we get week in, week out, I don't want to spend the 60K to bring David De Gea back in as a backup.
Yeah.
Go back to that little throwback. Just an out of his mind performance, because you're talking blank, point blank shots and having to make quick key saves. Yes, if Mazraoui hadn't have touched that, it was probably going wide, but if it wasn't, Onana had it covered. He just looked the part of the, confident shot stopper as well as, a cool, calm distributor. And, that's what we brought him in for. That's what the intent was, to have him as our number one and to be able to do all of those things. And I think with this structure, I think that he's going to be in a lot better position, especially once, we get a little bit more cohesiveness and familiarity with this setup, is that it's going to be much more difficult for teams to get shots away. And it's going to be a lot easier for Onana to be, getting himself into good places and to be able to make those shot stops. And, it was also coming out on corners and making himself big and getting up there and claiming the ball as his own. And, just all those little things that, it's easy to, to forget to do each and every little thing that are fundamental concepts in terms of goalkeeping. To do all of those things consistently throughout a full 90 minutes, it looked like he really just had all of that, and still had some of that little spice, that little topping of, those big saves that he made. So really good performance by him. I would definitely, in my opinion, that's my man of the match, is Andre Onana for Manchester United.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, when a new manager generally comes into the club, and you're a fan, and you want to see a difference, and you want to see how the managers, you want to see how they've reacted or how things have changed mentally. I think one of the first people you look at are the goalkeepers. The players are generally, they're making split decisions all the time. It's hard to have that kind of that feeling kind of sink in from the manager, but the goalkeepers have a lot more time to take in that information. It just seemed really cool and calm. It didn't seem like he was trying to impress anyone. It seemed like Amorim was like, look, we know who you are and what you do. Just keep it simple. Do what you do. Don't think you have to play a 60-yard ball to impress someone. Don't think you have to wait to the last second to get your pass. Just do what you do in a consistent manner. And he just seemed to build confidence from it. That point blank one, you don't rarely see him celebrate. But yet that was such a good save. He's in a right mindset. He seems positive. He seems cool and calm, and I think that's a distinct reaction from Amorim and this week as a manager. So if we're going to get that, let's just say, he was obviously nervous in Europe last season under Erik ten Hag. He was obviously excited coming in, but for whatever he was nervous there, and we all saw that, and it took a while for those nerves but if this is him under Amorim, we've got possibly one of the best goalkeepers available. If he's going to continue with that distribution at a next level, whilst keeping this cool, calm, shot-stopping composure, I don't want to see none of that out of position footwork stuff that we saw last time. That kind of, if I want to see more of this is what I want to see in my goalkeeper, and I'm really happy to see that, and I want, hopefully this will continue.
Yeah, definitely keeping it simple on the saves, and as well as distribution. To your point, we don't need anything too flashy. We can leave that to the players in front of him, and to your point, as long as he does that, I think we've got one of the best available.
I believe so. He could definitely turn out to be like that. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about before we get into our for or against is Mr. Amorim himself. Ruben Amorim, Ruben Amorim. I saw that song. I heard that song. I was like, that is perfect. I love that. It's really good. But It's been an infectious week. Everyone's kind of got a little bit giddy. We all got a little bit excited. We all came back to earth at kickoff. We score a goal in 60 seconds. We all go back to delirium again. It's been a fun week for Manchester United fans, and it's pretty much been down to the attitude that we've seen of this guy. Like, we've already seen the doors opened up. We've got open training sessions. We've got interviews, not just with Sky News, but with Gary Neville or something. So there's a real personal interaction there already. I'm sure the players are feeling that they're coming out tweeting that this is top training session, and whether you think that's right or wrong, but he's got everyone infected in a bit of optimism. And yes, it would be nice to have a win, but we all know the work that needs to happen with this club, not just on the pitch but off it as well. How do you sum up his first kind of week in charge? And I'm just going to look up some of our upcoming fixtures at the moment, but how were you affected this week, and how do you see the next few weeks unfold after what you've seen today?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely cautiously optimistic, and I think everything that we saw today for the most part is going to kind of be chalked up to the players, but what you did get to see was how he reacts to some of the different things that the players are doing on the pitch. And you can see him getting animated, see him getting a little flustered whenever we're doing the same, oh, well, I just need to knock the ball back, play the safe ball. He seems like he wants to get forward quicker, and I think that we play a lot of our best football when we're being a little bit more direct. We don't necessarily have the legs in the squad to be able to just ping the ball around for 90 minutes and, hold on to that possession and knock it around the back, and it's also not exciting. And the players want, or the fans, us as fans, we want to be excited about something, right? And so whenever he's getting animated on the sidelines saying, why isn't this ball going forward? Why aren't you making that turn? Let's get the ball moving forward. But also making sure that he's praising people for what they are doing right. You see someone like Andre Onana making that big save. He's over there on the sidelines applauding, saying, yes, good job. That's what I like to see. And so, a lot of that stoicism from Erik ten Hag, I think, was something that also created frustration within the fan base, in that it's just like, oh, well, you never know if he's pleased or if he's concerned or whatever, because he's always just deadpan, right? And so, the Red Devils are, in my opinion, this is a very emotional team in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's an emotional fan base, and so to have somebody now that looks like they're willing to give that, to give that same energy that the fans have been trying to give for so long, it's promising. I think this is very promising, and it looks like, to me at least, that he is going to demand more of players. He is going to, be able to get the best out of a lot of players, because this switch up in formation is going to be very trying and very telling for a lot of players. And I think it's going to weed out a lot of the players that we don't need, that have been underperforming, or it's going to galvanize them into saying, well, shoot, everybody else is performing better now because of this, and so I need to do the same. So in the coming weeks, I expect the attacking unit to be much more fluid. It might not be entirely cohesive for a month or two, but I also expect to see a higher press. That's one thing that I think that we've been lacking, that this type of formation is much more much more useful for, is being able to press up higher. And so a lot of the times we're pressing with we have our front three, and then Christian Eriksen was pressing, and then everybody else is dropping back, and so you have two separate lines, right? You have your attacking line and you have your defensive line, and then all this space in the middle, and that's getting exploited, and we saw that today, and that's something that's going to have to change. We're going to have to get everybody pressing up a little bit higher together, and I think that's something that he's going to bring, that a lot of the fan base has been wanting, is that higher press, that desire to get the ball back, and really pressure teams into making mistakes. How many goals have we scored this season just from that pressing higher, like Amad Diallo's goals?
Not enough.
Not enough, but whenever we do it and we do it properly, we're getting rewarded for it. And I think that's something that we should see a lot more of in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, our attack is just horrid. We've got 0 goal difference in the Premier League, and we now got to play Everton and Arsenal coming up.
Ooh, in December, the start of December looks rough.
Yeah, so the start of December, let's take away European matches. We've got Everton, Arsenal, Forest, and then we've got Man City on the 15th. And Bournemouth after Man City, who just beat Man City. And you just know, with City losing 5 in a row, they're going to get their act sorted out in 3. They're not going to lose the next 3 games, so they're going to be back to their best against United.
Well, they still need to figure out how to replace Rodri. I mean, that's an entirely different team without Rodri in it, and so maybe we catch a break there, seeing as Rodri's out for the season. But I mean, to your point, losing 5 on the bounce, that is not Manchester City's way, and so we could, to your point, kind of see the best out of them, which would be bad for us.
Yeah, we've got a few games to figure things out, because that's going to be a crunch game against City. And just for our chances to get to the top 4, and for their chances obviously they're 8 points behind Liverpool now. They're going to need. I think they've got Liverpool next week as well. So things aren't going great. This is someone might call it a sign. City it could be an end of an era. It potentially could be, even though Guardiola's just signed. We don't know what's going to happen with 115 charges at the end of the season. It's scary times for Man City at the moment. And can we capitalise? Can we find ourselves and become the United that we all know that we can be when City are in their worst in like 5 to 10 years or something? Like, this could be the moment the pendulum swings and we start to gain some titles back. Not obviously in this season, but to gain some progression. But in general, do you know what I mean? If we can help to the downfall of Manchester City, that's. It's brought a smile to your face. Just how many other smiles it's going to like.
Yeah,
that
well,
could be really interesting.
my only qualm with that is that it means that Liverpool is going to potentially win the title, and I hate to see them win anything.
Yeah, but the heavy is the head that wears the crown. I mean, Liverpool, the only time they've won was when there was COVID. That's the only time that, like, in recent memory. So, I mean, look, I wouldn't worry about Liverpool. I mean, that's fine. They're not at the stature of Manchester City. Liverpool go up, they come down, they go up, but they're always kind of there or thereabouts, but they're never really challenging on all fronts, like City have been. Whereas City, if they start losing now, whilst they're at their best, and come the end of the season, I mean, mate, they could have no manager, they could have no position in the league, they could have no trophies from the last 8 years or something. Like, they could have countersuits and God knows what. Like, it could be really crazy. And there's us with Amorim, just, Haaland, do you fancy a club that isn't in the Championship? Like, you want to come and play for us? That'd be cool. Also, I don't know, it's something crazy. Maybe Foden. Maybe Cole Palmer wants to leave Chelsea and come. Like, he's a Man United fan. I don't know. That'd be great. Going back to the players real quick before we go on to for or against. One thing that I noticed. Let me get the right image up. One thing I noticed today was the older players didn't really have much of a say. So we knew coming in, Amorim wants intensity, right? But now you look around, and the outside of that formation but Eriksen and Casemiro weren't really in the game as much as they were. Bruno Fernandes wasn't really in the game. It was a young man's game, this one. Like, there was lots of running and lots of energy, but the experience in the core didn't. It's like the game was playing around them quite a bit, or I don't know, any kind of reason for that. I'm kind of worried because. Also, we know what Kobe can do, and Kobe coming in would be great, and we've got young midfielders coming in, but these are the 3 midfielders that are core experience that drive the whole squad are those 3 players, or supposed to anyway, but it didn't really work out for them. Any kind of thoughts as to why?
So, I mean, for me, this formation is about pressing high and transitioning from defense to offense quickly. And so whenever, the engine room is as old as it is, that makes it very difficult to do both of those things, right? You have to have legs to press. You have to have legs to transition. Otherwise, you're not supporting your attackers as well as they need to be. And so that's where you need the Kobe Mainu. That's where you need Manuel Ugarte. That's where you need Lisandro Martinez instead of Johnny Evans. Whenever Casemiro and Johnny Evans got subbed off, you heard the commentators say, now we have two players coming off with a combined age of nearly 70 years old.
Yeah.
That's not great. And it would have been almost the same thing if we're at Casemiro and Eriksen. You've been over 60 years old between the two of them. And so I think that's something that we'll see change in the coming days. Again, Amorim has familiarity with Ugarte, and he prefers the style of player that is Kobe Mainu. And so I think, I talked about it at the beginning of the season that was probably going to be a very pivotal and important relationship and, midfield duo that I think we are going to see more of. And so whenever we do have that and they've acclimated a little bit to this system, I think that's going to be very potent for this team because Kobe Mainu is not unwilling to press. Manuel Ugarte is not unwilling to press and make those key interceptions and get rid of the ball. I don't expect Ugarte to really drive the attack, but I do expect him to get rid of the ball. Get the ball and get rid of the ball. If he can do those two things quickly, then we're going to see a lot of success with this new formation. If Kobe Mainu is willing to turn and take players on, as we've seen him do in the past, I think we're setting ourselves up for success. I think whenever, Luke Shaw is a bit more fit and we don't need Dallo in that spot, I think that's going to be a huge game changer. Just with that speed and the ability to get forward and back and not have to get back so far. Luke Shaw is probably one of our best attacking backs on our roster when he's fit. I think the only real competition that he has at this point is Mazraoui. Dallo just hasn't been the same this season, and I don't know if that was just up to Erik ten Hag and their relationship. So I'm hoping that he can bounce back, but this is going to be a very different team whenever we see a lot of these key players coming back. And so I'm very excited. Again, I think that we could be in a very different spot by Christmas, but it's going to take a lot out of us in these next 4 games. And in these next 4 games, we're gonna see a lot about the character of the players that are going to be put into this position. What do you think in terms of points out of the next 4? What would you consider a successful run of the next 4 games in the Premier League?
Okay, so Everton with us at home, away at Arsenal, home to Forest, away to City. Look, ideally we need 10 points. There's no beating around the bush. We need to win games. We're playing catch up. And Christmas is busy for everyone. So we need to make the most out of it. There's no ifs, buts or maybes. We need to turn up against Everton. We need 3 points. We've dropped 2 points against Ipswich today. We need to make that up at home against Everton on the 1st of December. Then 3 days later, we're away to Arsenal. We have to turn up and get a result. Again, they're just as tired and as busy as everyone else. They're pushing for the top. The top are losing points to one another, apart from Liverpool, pretty much at the moment. Arsenal aren't unbeatable, and it would be a clash of styles. Maybe it could be like a board draw. I will take a board draw, honestly, but we do need to step up and start scoring goals. We need to start putting the fear of United back into people and showing. Look, Rashford's back on form. Garnacho's lethal down the wing. Like Amad Diallo's the next best thing. We need to put fear into the eyes of people. And against Nottingham Forest at home, you'd expect us to win. And come crunch talks with City, and we've got Bournemouth and Wolves, and look, there's no easy games, but we have to start winning at some point. Like, there's, yes, we have to give Amorim time, and he's going to have all the time in the world, because January, which we'll talk about in For and Against real soon, is going to be a busy time, I believe. So he's got time in the bank, and he's got to try and get the system working, but that winning mentality is going to take a little longer to instill, but because it hasn't been there for so long. Like, we're basically trying to jumpstart the whole squad and to try and get that winning mentality back, or whatever it was that they've lost. But yeah, I don't know, 10 points at a minimum. I would love to have to go on a run. City is debatable. We should and could beat Arsenal. No problems. It's a tough game, but we have the ability to beat Arsenal. We have the ability to beat City in cup finals. Can we do it at their own stadium? 10 points is what I want. I think I'd be satisfied with 10 points out of those 4 games going up to Christmas.
Yeah, and I'm kind of a similar mind. I think 9-10 points. That's going to be a successful run in those 4 games. It's going to be tough, though. We could easily come out of this with as few as 5 or 6, and so fingers crossed that we get those 9-10 points. 3 wins, 3 wins out of these 4. That would be huge, and that could be a catalyst for the rest of our season. Whether or not that happens, that's going to be up for debate. But I think obviously it is going to take a little bit of time. But these players in this formation, I don't think is it. I think this will come good, but this is not. I would not play Casemiro and Eriksen too awful frequently. You're just missing something. I mean, you could play Casemiro and Mason Mount. I think that Mason Mount and Kobbie Mainoo are going to be kind of interchangeable parts to this system. I think Casemiro and Ugarte are going to be interchangeable. Mason Mount also has the ability to play up a little bit higher, like where Alejandro Garnacho is at. If, say, we want to, once we have our center backs ready and available, we can push Mazraoui into that right wing back and then have Garnacho on the left wing back, because Amorim does like to have one more attacking and one more defensive on either side. And so there's so many different ways to utilize and employ this lineup in terms of the players that we have to put into it. And so I'm really interested to see how our squad gets rotated because of that. And we're going to need the rotation.
Yeah, we are. But we've been talking about rotation pretty much all season, so we'll see how Amorim kind of takes hold of it. So, before we move on to For or Against, make sure you hit a follow and a subscribe if you're on YouTube. For or Against, we're going to basically pick 3 topics, and we're going to pick one side to tell, what do you want to be, or what are you? Are you going to be For or Against this week, Sporadiclese? What do you think?
Oh, gosh. It's been so long. I think Did I take For last time? I'll take Against this time.
Okay, so Sporadiclese is going to be Against on the 3 statements that I've kind of pulled up. And we're going to go through them one by one, a couple of minutes each side, so you get 2 sides of the same story, and you can make your own conclusion going forward. So, without any further ado, I'm ready for some For or Against, Sporadiclese. What about you?
Let's do it.
And it didn't happen, so let me do it manually. It never happens. Right, For or Against. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm TheSaffronMan, this is Sporadiclese, and we are Red versus Red. We're going to be doing our For or Against real quick. So the first question that I have set up for or Against for Sporadiclese, which you are going to be against for us today. So you are against the first one. We have the worst attack in the top half of the table. Keep in mind that we are currently 12th in the Premier League. We have a 0 goal difference at the moment. And you are against this, which you so subtly chose a couple of minutes ago. I am delighted. Please, for a couple of minutes, tell me why you you're against this.
So we've been stagnant under Eric Ten Hag, and this is going to change drastically under Ruben Amorim. I think that this is going to be a very offensive-minded attack, and I think that we have the players in the lineup or in our squad to succeed using this formation. And so you can't really compare what we have seen up to this point in the Premier League
Yes,
to
we can.
what we're going to see. No, absolutely you cannot.
Okay.
No way. This is going to be so different. And we saw it today in the very first 90 seconds of the match. We scored in I think 81 seconds, and that's just quick little link up play, dispossessing the ball from Ipswich, and Amad Diallo having the confidence to run into the offensive third and get the ball across, and that is the fastest goal that we have scored all season. And so you're already going to start seeing things like this, where we're changing up how we're doing things, we're changing who's doing it, and it is going to be a very different offense now than what we have seen. And so I'm looking forward to seeing us get a positive goal difference, and with that, I think we're going to see our spot in the table move up. It's going to take a little bit to kind of create that, but absolutely we are going to get there.
So I love how Sporadiclese just kind of twists and turns the wording of it. So obviously, I'm going to be for and agreeing to this statement. And how could you not agree with this statement? We have the worst attack in the top half of the table. We're not even in. So the only other club in the top half of the table at the moment with 0 goal difference is Aston Villa in 8th and Fulham in 10th, right? We have the worst attack in the top half of the table, and we're not even in the top half of the table. We can't get there because our attack is so bad. Summer signings as Joshua Zirkzee has not come up crops. Højlund has not scored the goals that we had expected to, service or not. Rashford has been A-OK, but not been exemplary. Diallo's had 1 or 2 options, but no one's really filling in with 5 to 10 goals. Chris Wood for Nottingham Forest has got like 8 Premier League goals or something this season, and they are in 7th. No one has got anywhere close to that. Like, we're not striking goals, we're not striking fear in the hearts of the defenders, we're not making them work hard. Like, we're just easy to play against, or we're fun. Scoring goals is the hardest thing to do in a game. I get it, I understand, but we have a lot of quality in the attack, and so far have not found that. Now, yes, we scored in 81 seconds or something today against Ipswich, but then we went 89 minutes without getting another shot on goal, pretty much. So it's not like our attack has been great. The stats don't lie, and it hasn't been great. We are not the best attacking. Whether that's going to be the same come end of the season with a new manager and a new formation, who knows? But currently, as things stand, unfortunately, we are not firing on any cylinders. We have the worst attack in the top half of the Premier League. Let me just read the clubs one more time above us. Fulham, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, who literally just beat City 4-0. Brighton are beating everyone. Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool. Are you saying our attacks are better than any of those teams I just mentioned?
I'm saying that our attack is going to be better. I mean, again, you're talking about a relic Eric Ten Hag system.
And I'm talking about Manchester United this season so far.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about so far, I'm not inclined to look back at the past and see all of these terrible things that have happened. We have more draws than we have anything else in all of our
4 wins, 4 draws, and 4 losses.
Okay, so again,
so you're right.
Really it's what it feels like, right?
Yeah,
That we're drawing or we're losing, and this is going to change. Absolutely, it's going to change, and I think that this system is going to be set up such that we have more versatility in terms of where people can be deployed, where more versatility in how we are going to attack and press, and this formation itself can be used in different ways depending on who you're playing against and how you need it to happen. And so again, I think that with the way that Ruben Amorim was getting animated today, whenever we're just knocking the ball around in the back, didn't like it. He wants it to go forward. And that's where we're best, and that's what's going to happen, is that we're going to transition from what has in the past, which I don't really care about at this point, been a bad offensive unit, and it's going to transition to the high-powered offense that it was meant to be.
In other news, yeah, maybe. I can't remember. Was it? Oh my god! Something literally. That's the one. I was thinking of Pokemon like Caterpie. That's not a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Was what I was trying to say, but Pokemon popped in my head, ruined it. Like, are we going to turn into a butterfly? Maybe, but we're still a bloody caterpillar at the moment, and we're not scoring goals. So I don't know how you can defend that one. I think you were just unlucky with that Sporadiclese.
We're a metapod at this point. We're in our shell. We're just in our shell, waiting to break out. Like, all right, sit back.
Perfect. Okay, so we're definitely for on that one. That's just really hard to defend. We're not even in the top half of the table, so the fact that Chris Wood has got 8 goals, it just kind of sums it up for us. All right, on to the next one for you, Sporadiclese. The next one we have. Let us know what you guys think down below as well. By the way, do we have the worst attack in the Premier League, or the top half at least? You let us know. Will we still buy a left back in January? So you're going against on this one. So you're going to explain over the next couple of minutes why we're not going to buy a left back in January. He's pretty fair on this one.
Sure. I mean, we have any number of options. We also have a formation that doesn't really require us to have a true left back. Ruben Amorim again likes to play one attacking option on the wing backs and one defensive option, and so we do have players in place that can play in that position. If we wanted to have a true winger playing on the left, then we could have Garnacho playing left wing back. He doesn't have to track back as much, but he's still going to be potent on offense. He's there just to delay until we get the Martinez at the furthest left center back to potentially engage. And so we also have Luke Shaw and Tyrell Malacia coming back. Maybe we see them getting a few more minutes here. We also, again, if we want to play more defensive, then yeah, I mean, we can still throw Dallo over there. We can still throw, any number of players over there. And so in terms of priorities, I don't know that that's necessarily going to be a priority. I think that, with what we have on record, we still have plenty of players that can play in that role in this new system.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you look at the game today at Ipswich.
There you go. You agree?
I am. I'm going to go through all the things that I agree with, and then still explain why you're wrong at the end. So let me cook, and then I'll land it. Right. So yeah, I agree. Malacia is on the bench now. Shaw is on the bench. Had half an hour, and it's strange. Before Amorim turned up, we were like, God, we don't have any left backs. No one's played for a couple of years. What are we going to do? That's a lot of money in January to try and spend on the left back. And he's changed formation. And all of a sudden, we don't need a left back because we've got left centre backs and we've got midfielders that can play left wing back. So, just a switch to that formation is all of a sudden, freed up the need. We don't need now. We need left-sided defenders, right? Because we've got left-sided attackers, left-sided defenders, not so much. So yeah, Malacia could go left wing back and Shaw can go left centre back, or I don't think they'll go vice versa. But Luke Shaw can definitely play the left wing back role. As you mentioned, Garnacho will still come on the left-sided role of midfield if needed. So you're right, we're kind of covered. But then all of a sudden, we're still talking about Alphonso Davies, and even though he's not a left back specifically, left defender is kind of what I was trying to get at in the topic of conversation. We're after someone to replace Luke Shaw ultimately, and I'm sure Harry Amas, they're expecting to overtake Tyrell Malacia, because just for the year or two out that he's had from progression. If Harry Amas was to play for 2 years now, you'd think he would overtake and surpass Tyrell Malacia. So even though, yes, we've got space, we have cover for those positions, I think both of those positions aren't finalised or formal. They're both up grabs. They could be sold if a good price comes in. I think we're still looking to bring in Alphonso Davies as well. So yeah, we go, like all the things I've just mentioned. Yes, it fits. We don't need one, but I think we're still gonna replace of what we have if we can. Alphonso Davies has been pretty much fit throughout all his career. He's had a couple of injuries, a couple of niggles, and there's no smoke without fire. And I think there's a little bit of smoke to this one. I think Alphonso Davies, if he was to come, it would be in January because of the contract thing. Which Real Madrid wants. So if we were to get him, it would be in January. But we will see. Fingers crossed. I still think we're going to bring someone in. But it's a tough call.
I mean, it's sure, if we're talking about things that would be nice, I would love to see, us get a left back. I mentioned Alphonso Davies during the summer. I thought that we were going to go for him. I thought that we should have gone for him.
I've been mentioning Alphonso Davies since Football Manager 2018 or something stupid like that. I get it. He's great, but he's just been around forever. And we all want him.
I mean, I also like Bayern Munich, and I follow Bayern Munich, so I know all about Alphonso Davies. You don't have to sell me on Alphonso Davies. What you do have to sell me on is that we're going to make a move in January for him. I think we have more pressing issues. I think that it's going to be difficult to really bring in somebody like that in that time frame. You're going to have to pay a premium for him because, again...
That's the situation. That's where we're at. So, again, if we wait till the end of the season, he will go to Real Madrid on a bigger contract that we're going to offer for free, right? But if we were to go for it, if it was going to happen at all, we have to go for him in January because that's when he's available. Because come the end of the season, he's going to Real Madrid. If we're going to go for him, we have to go for it in January because Real Madrid aren't. Right? So we have to offer the pretty penny now rather than 6 months from now. And if we can make that happen, then so be it. That'll be great. Everyone would be happy. And yeah, we don't really need it. But I would love to have Alphonso Davies like 24 or something. He's been around for 7 years and he's still got another 7 years to go or something. And so yeah, modern professional. I would love to see it, man. We all need a Christmas present every now and then, and it would be a great late Christmas present for us if we managed to get Alphonso Davies. We all said how excited we'd be of Luke Shaw at that left wing back role. If we can have Luke Shaw at left centre back or cover for left wing back, and Alphonso Davies is our main left wing back, man, we all saw it. Look, Alphonso Davies, just run forward, fam. Luke Shaw is there. He's got you covered. You go. Express, mate. That's it. I'm sold.
Well, if we've got the worst attack in the top half of the table, as per the last one, then I think that we're looking at a striker more than a left back, and I don't know that Amorim's going to love his options in Marcus Rashford, Joshua Zirkzee, and Højlund. So,
we've had half an hour of a good left wing back, and that's the first time he's probably played left wing back in 2 years of football, like Luke Shaw. I don't know, give him some time. We could have some attack. The attack change, like you said, we could go in. We could evolve into a butterfly in this formation, but no one's really had a chance yet. We've had one game against Ipswich, and Luke Shaw said half an hour. But who knows? Maybe this whole formation, something will just switch and we become an attacking force.
I'm not sure we got the cash for it though. I mean, a January move is bound to be expensive, and I just don't know, given everything that we put out, everything that we've shelled out, and we might not even get through into the playoff of the Europa League. Money's going to be tight, and so a January move that's probably too soon.
I agree that money is tight, but remember like last summer where they said we've got 50 million to spend, and then we ended up spending like 250 million or something like that, like with sales.
Don't we always only have 50
I know, but that's kind of my point. But Amorim has kind of come in and he's been promised a small amount for January, not including any sales, which is going to get to my third question in a minute, which is going to be segued perfectly. But yeah, we will see. We'll see what happens. But I think we are going to get. But for you, because of the formation change, and I have put left back. We don't really need a left back right now. I'll give it to you on a technicality, Sporadiclese. So that's what you can. But the next one is going to be tough. So we'll talk about Amorim coming in. We'll talk about the funds that might be available, might not be available, that some of the changes of players that we're needing to come in. So the next question is going to be, I've got it in red already, my bad. So,
oh, sweet, thanks. You can leave it there.
6 players leave in January.
Not on your life. Absolutely not. Well, I guess I should clarify. Are we talking about on loan? Are we talking about selling? Are we talking about the whole kit and caboodle?
Whole kit and caboodle, because that's what I've got to play with. So we're talking about youngsters as well. We're talking about the under 18s, 21s. No one said it was fair. No one said that it wasn't rigged from the start. So yeah, go for it.
Sure. Ruben Amorim likes to play the youth, and so unless you're going to offload Casemiro and Christian Eriksen and all these other players that we've already been shown that we basically can't offload because Saudi has not come for Casemiro. Eriksen seems like he is not willing to leave. Those are really the two that I would be looking for, and the fact that Amorim's going to be playing the likes of Amad Diallo on a more regular basis. I'm guessing that Amos is going to finally get the minutes that we've been looking for. Sales, sure, sales would be great. I would love to see some sales. I've got a couple players in mind, but 6 players, that's a pretty tall task, especially given that we're going to have 3 center backs. Center back is one of the few positions that I could have previously seen some sales in if we were going to maybe potentially bring in some of the youth players from the academy teams. But with a need for that many center backs and the fact that sure, Luke Shaw can kind of flex into that left center back role, you're still talking about having to rotate between 6 players, right? We have I think 6 center backs right now, right? Lisandro Martinez, Johnny Evans, De Ligt, Maguire, Euro, and Lindelof. He played Mazraoui as kind of a pseudo center back. I don't think that necessarily fits his style. I get why he did it, right? It's almost like you're just taking your back 4 and you've shifted it and popped your left back up a little bit and pulled your winger back a little bit to assist. So, I can see where he's coming from with that, but the players that need to leave are not players that we're going to be able to sell or offload that easily. So 6 players, it's just not going to happen.
Come on, it's definitely possible. We talk about Maguire, we talk about Lindelof, there are options that could go. We talk about, if Malacia had a few games in from now to January, maybe someone will offer a price for him. Xerxes gone already. We're talking about people wanting a trade for Osimhen, and some of the people in Italy want Xerxes back. So Xerxes could potentially be gone. They're concrete kind of offers that are coming on. That's not been going away at all on that Xerxes. If Collier could leave on a loan deal or some kind of part exchange or something, we have players that are worth a little bit or something. Amorim needs to generate his own funds to get a couple of players in, and he has players available to him. If they're not going to fit in his system, like a Xerxes or an Anthony or whatever. So let's just say Tyrell Malacia, let's say one of Maguire or Lindelof, let's say Xerxes, let's say Anthony. That's 4 people right there, not including any of the youngsters. And so I definitely think it's possible that 6 players leave. Only one of it's like you trim the fat and then you just fill in 1 or 2. And we talked about trim the fat already, and yes, we got rid of a few trim the fat players. If we were to get rid of a couple more, come the summer, he's going to go, right, I've got a score of 25, I've trimmed the fat a little bit, you're still not going to work, but I'm going to bring in this one person. I just think it makes sense. He's basically going to have his last summer's transfer window at January. I think he's got to make up a little bit of lost ground. I think he will sell people in January, maybe bring 1 or 2 just one signing in January, but he's prepping for the summer, and he'll sell a couple more in the summer, and he'll bring in more in the summer. So it makes sense to me, for whatever reason, that players are going to be leaving. I think it's an audition from now till January, who's going to stay and who's going to go. In my mind, Anthony's gone. In my mind, Xerxes gone already. In my mind, Lindelof or Maguire has gone. And in my mind, Malacia or Shaw are going to have options available to them. And plus a couple of the youngsters like Collier. If he's not going to get enough minutes, then so be it. It's definitely more than possible. I think more sales than buys have to happen this January. So it's kind of hard to see any other end result.
I mean, we brought in Malacia 2 years ago for 10 or 12. He hasn't even played that. He's played maybe a couple months for us, and so to say that he's going to turn around and we're going to sell him, like that's a weird move to me to sell him so quickly. We're probably not going to get money back on that.
No, come on. No, wait. Let's stick to Malacia before you go on to Xerxes. Malacia's been injured for 2 years, pretty much. He wasn't with us for 2 years previous. He's a player. It's just a player that's not doing anything. And yes, he might be fit, but would you rather have a fit person that's come back from injury for 2 years, or someone like Alphonso Davies or something that you need to upgrade your weak links? And right now, Malacia is a weak link. One, because he hasn't played for 2 years, and two, we never knew if he was good enough anyway.
We don't even know if he was good enough.
So but that's what I mean. But now you've got 2 years of injury.
So why are we selling somebody that we're not going to be able to recoup the
because
money on?
No. We got him for like 10 million. I think you're slightly missing. We got him for like 10 or 12 million or whatever it was anyway. We got him. We didn't know if he was any good enough. He's been injured for 2 years. Who gets injured for 2 years and comes back to full fitness in that time? We're probably not going to see the best of Tyrone Malacia for another 6 to 12 months anyway. So on that contract, are we just paying for people to be injured? It's like Phil Jones all over again. It's a weak link. If he's not playing, replace him. Or at least is an option. Amorim's just come in. He's looking to generate funds to bring people in. Oh, what's this? You've been injured for 2 years and you're not really playing. Well, I might get 5 million for you and get you off my wages. That might contribute to another person coming in. I'm just saying he's available. It's not a mainstay. It's not like a Garnacho where you would say.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It would be great for that to happen. I just don't see it happening. I don't, again, it's like Donny van de Beek. We sold him for $500,000 because he just, because
he was injured for 6 months and then 6 months
injured, whatever. And so, again, I think the time to do all of that is going to be the summer. And again, with Xerxes, I don't think you sell Xerxes. You don't buy him and then sell him 6 months later. When was the last time we bought somebody and sold them 6 months later?
Well, that's not the point, but Erik ten Hag bought him, right? And he turned...
That's not the point.
No, you're right. You just contradict yourself. So, Erik ten Hag bought him. He turned up over a stone overweight. We've seen that he's not very fast and can't run. We have 10s already in Mason Mount, Garnacho, and Bruno Fernandes. We bought a player that we now no longer need, and he's a square peg. So again, we've just bought him for like 45 or whatever it was. Italy have literally been after him 6 weeks after he's been with us. It hasn't been it's like Angel Di Maria. It hasn't been a smooth sailing for him. He's slow. He's not striking. He's not scoring. He's unhappy. There have been rumblings about him leaving, and there are still rumblings about him leaving and us trading him for Osimhen. Now, I don't know if the Osimhen thing is true or not, but that's what the articles have been saying. And I'll tell you what, if we paid 15 million and Xerxes for Osimhen, I would snap your hand off. I think that's a bargain. Now, again, whether he stays or goes is irrelevant. The fact that he's actually worth something and we can make a deal. Mate, you see Moneyball with Kevin Costner or whatever it was. Like, if someone's got a value, like, you can make something happen with that. And again, I don't think you're going to do that with Rashford or Garnacho, but for someone that's turned up for 6 months and ultimately hasn't been looking great, you try and get your money back or just try and make something positive out of it. He's not a loyal player to Manchester United yet. Why should we be loyal to him? You have to earn that. I don't think it's worked out. If we can get an Osimhen or something positive out of that, I'm all for it. I'm just saying he's worth something and he's not a mainstay.
Nobody has worked out in the last 3 months. Nobody.
No, but you can't sell everyone.
Our whole team hasn't looked good. And so I can't sit here and look at you with a straight face and say, oh, well, it's Xerxes. Xerxes is just not good enough. Okay, well, neither is Rashford.
No. Xerxes hasn't been good enough. You can't say he has been. Has he?
Højlund hasn't been good enough. There are so many players that haven't been good enough.
No, but I would say that Højlund's got more potential than Xerxes right now after watching what Xerxes done. Xerxes hasn't. He's scored one tip-tap. We know that Højlund works hard. We know that Højlund is fast. We know that Højlund has got a good striking rate. He just doesn't get the service.
We also know that he hasn't scored very many. What, he scored 1-2 goals this season, if that.
That's so again, one more than Xerxes. So he scored double Xerxes.
Wow, that's really great striking output.
Hey, that's just quick math, man. That's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that we bought him. It hasn't been an ideal situation for him.
Size. Law of large numbers is not yet in effect.
Yeah,
so that's an irrelevant statistic.
So, again, I think he's worth something. I don't think he's bought a house yet either. So, I don't know. Maybe he wants to go. Maybe he doesn't.
He's terrible, but he's worth something. Make up your mind,
No. He's worth something because we've just bought him for 45. If we wait another 6 to 12 months, he's going to be like Anthony and worth next to nothing. We'll be lucky to give him away. But since we've just bought him for 45 for 6 months ago, January coming up, that price tag hasn't dropped too low. So we could get 35 to 40 for him because he's still 24, international striker. I'm just saying, Amorim is looking to generate funds to bring in a player or two of his own. Gyökeres has been mentioned quite a lot. That young 17-year-old wing-back, Quanda, I forget his name. But if he wants those players to come in, he has to make that money because Manchester United aren't going to give him get that in January. I mean, if he has to get money from somewhere, it's not going to be Anthony. It's not going to be Malacia. You might get a little bit for Lindelof. You might get a little bit for Maguire. Xerxes, you'll get a fair bit because we've just paid a fair bit, so you'll get some of that back. Is an option. There are other options within the squad. It all depends on Amorim. But yeah, I think there's going to be a few sales in January. And you're going to have to prove me wrong on that one. We'll see. I tell you, come end of January, if we haven't sold or 6 players haven't left, we'll come back here on the podcast and I'll do some kind of truth or dare or something as a sacrifice for that. But all right, Sporadically, I'm going to give myself that one there just until we get, what is it, Greed? There we go. Boom. It's great having the chat with you, man. We've had a busy week. We've had a good week. It's been fun. All things Manchester United. And what are you up to for the next week? And we'll see you back on Friday, or like what are you up to?
Yeah. I mean, it's holiday times here in the United States. So I've got my last week of paternity leave this week as well, and then the following week I'll be going back to work. So I should be able to make a video on Friday. Shouldn't have any issues there. So I mean, it's just going to be really just spending time with family. Hopefully trying to get a little bit of sleep because I think we finally figured out one of our girls has been having some issues with staying asleep and being cranky. So
been there.
Fingers crossed that I can just get a little bit more sleep, man.
Oh mate, sleep is for the wicked. So yeah, all the holiday stuff has come up and family and work and blah blah blah. I get it. Path of XR2 comes out December 6th, baby, and I'm all for it. I'm going to be... That's my Christmas right there. So I'm good. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. I've been the Saffron Man. He's been Sporadiclese. We've been RedVsRed. Make sure you show your support in the comments. Hit a like and hit the little notification bell so you're notified when we go live. And subscribe and follow as well. Show your support. Let's get to 100 as soon as possible. That'd be great. But thanks for coming on, Sporadiclese. It's been fun. And we'll see you guys during the week. Till then, peace.